Most teams treat testing like a cleanup crew. The best PMs treat it like a war room, and they start before a single line ships. Your dev team just told you the build is ready for testing. You open the test plan document and it is blank. Nobody wrote test cases. Nobody defined what done looks like. And your client expects a release in 2 weeks. This moment right here separates project managers who survive testing from those who drown in it. Stay with me because I am going to walk you through exactly how experienced PMs run the testing phase without losing their sanity or their timeline. Testing does not begin when developers hand you a build. It begins weeks earlier, during development itself. Smart project managers start writing test scenarios while features are still being coded. They sit with business analysts and ask one simple question: what does success look like for each feature? At Microsoft, testing teams shadow development sprints so they are ready on day one of the testing window. Your test environment should be fully set up before the first line of code is complete. Database connections, third-party integrations, user accounts all pre-configured and verified. If you wait until the build drops to start environment setup, you have already lost 3 to 5 days. And in a tight release timeline, those days never come back. Assign test case ownership early so every tester knows exactly which modules belong to them. Most testing chaos happens because nobody agreed on the rules before testing started. Entry criteria define what must be true before your team even opens the application. Is the build deployed and stable? Are all critical features included in this release? Has the development team completed their own smoke testing first? Without entry criteria, your testers spend the first week filing bugs that developers already know about. Exit criteria are equally important because they tell you when testing is actually finished. A common mistake is defining exit as all bugs are fixed. That is not realistic for any project of meaningful size. Instead, set clear measurable thresholds that everyone can understand. 0 critical defects open. Fewer than 5 medium severity issues, each with a documented workaround. All core user journeys verified and signed off. Write these criteria down in a shared document. Get formal sign-off from your stakeholders before testing begins. This single step prevents more arguments than anything else you will do during the entire testing phase. Bugs will come in fast once testing starts, and without a system your inbox becomes a graveyard of scattered screenshots and vague descriptions. Every defect needs a consistent format, steps to reproduce, expected result versus actual result, severity level, and the exact environment where it was found. Use a tracking tool like Jira, Azure DevOps, or even a well-structured spreadsheet if that is what your team has. The key is that every single person on the team uses the same process without exceptions. Run a daily defect triage meeting and keep it to 15 minutes, no longer than that. Bring your test lead and the dev lead into the same room or the same call. Review new bugs together, assign priorities honestly, and reassign anything that has been stuck for more than a day. Google's engineering teams run something similar they call a bug council. It keeps the defect backlog from turning into a black hole nobody wants to touch. Track your defect discovery curve throughout the cycle. Early in testing, bug counts should rise sharply as testers explore new functionality. Toward the end, new bugs should slow down while closures increase steadily. If that curve does not flatten after the midpoint, something deeper is broken, maybe requirements were unclear, or an entire module needs redesign rather than patches. The testing phase is where project managers lose stakeholder trust the fastest. Executives hear we are in testing and they assume the product is practically done. Then when bugs start piling up, they panic and start asking uncomfortable questions. Get ahead of this by sending a simple daily or weekly testing dashboard to all key stakeholders. Include total test cases planned, how many have been executed, how many passed, how many failed, and the open defect count broken down by severity. Nobody wants to read a 20-page status report during testing crunch time. One clean visual summary tells the entire story at a glance. Be brutally honest about risks as soon as you see them forming. If a critical module is failing repeatedly across multiple test cycles, say so early and clearly. Do not wait until the release date to deliver bad news that everyone needed to hear weeks ago. Amazon's internal PM training emphasizes a principle worth remembering: escalate early and escalate with data. When you bring problems to leadership with full context and a proposed path forward, stakeholders see you as someone who is in control. When you hide problems hoping they resolve themselves, they see you as someone who has lost control entirely. Testing can go on forever if you let it, and trust me, someone on your team will always find a reason to keep going. There will always be one more edge case to explore, one more browser combination to check, one more scenario someone thought of over the weekend. This is exactly where your exit criteria save you from an endless cycle. When you have met the thresholds you defined and agreed upon before testing started, testing is done. Period. Regression testing should cover the critical paths one final time after all approved bug fixes have been deployed to the test environment. Not every single feature needs full regression. Focus your effort on the areas where code fixes were applied and the core workflows your end users depend on daily. The formal sign-off step matters more than most PMs realize. Send a clear email or document that states testing is complete. Here are the consolidated results, here are the known open issues with their workarounds, and here's our go or no-go recommendation. That paper trail protects you, your team, and the entire project if questions come up later. Here is what I want you to do right now, before your next testing cycle begins. Open a blank document and write down 3 things: your entry criteria, your exit criteria, and your defect triage schedule with names and meeting times. Just those 3 items, nothing more. Print that page out and pin it where your team can see it, or paste it into your project channel where nobody can miss it. That single page will give your testing phase more structure than most project managers have in their entire test plan. Testing does not have to be the phase where everything falls apart and timelines collapse. With the right preparation, it becomes the phase where your project proves it is genuinely ready for the real world. If this helped you think differently about testing, share it with a PM friend who is about to enter their testing phase. They will thank you for it. That's a wrap. Thanks for watching. If this gave you one idea you can use today, hit like and subscribe. See you in the next one.